So, welcome to the Spiritual Success Podcast. My name is Felicia Searcy, your Dream Life Activator. And from time to time, I bring people that I absolutely adore
Hmm.
and who have powerful, some of my favorite people and who have powerful expertise. I'm not just hanging out with people that I love, which is great. I am deeply grateful that I get to hang out with some amazingly brilliant people who bring a high degree of expertise in order to support you in moving your desire, your initiative forward as we ground our work, our businesses, our lives in spiritual principle, knowing this is what brings depth and meaning and true impact. So I'm thrilled to have you. Please share where you're coming in from, whether you're watching live or the replay. And of course, share your gold nuggets as we go along. So let's jump into our process today, our interview. I am thrilled. I have known Lisa. I don't know how long we've known each other. It's been a while now. I
Probably
don't
seven,
remember.
8 years, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we got hooked up through a common networking group, eWomen Network.
Actually, I think when we first met, it was at through Laura Gisborne,
That's what it was.
and
Yeah.
then continued to see each other through eWomen. Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
others.
So I love how, we can be nationally, internationally, and our paths cross, and we develop these amazing relationships with people through the work that we do. So I am thrilled to be able to bring Leisa Reid to you. Lisa is the go-to woman for speaking. She
Oh,
is breathtakingly brilliant in helping you get clear on what you want to speak about, get on stages to be able to speak, and then knowing how to continue that service, how to support people even beyond the speaking. So it's not just, a speak and dash where you're inspiring and then you're going, but she really helps you know how to actually build the business of speaking and build your business with speaking, understanding that it's all impact. Because so when we're talking about spiritual principle, we're talking about living your authentic message and impact. And so I am just delighted to be able to bring Leisa Reid to you. So let me read her formal bio and just know that she's truly one of my favorite people. And she's the real deal. She cares deeply as to whether or not you get it. So, all right, as a speaker who has booked and delivered over 600 talks, Leisa Reid is the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the CEO of the International Speaker Network. She trains entrepreneurs how to use public speaking as a soul-filling marketing strategy with ease and confidence. I love that. Soul-filling marketing strategy. This is what it's all about. It's all about being grounded in spiritual principle as you expand your capacity to serve and bring impact. All right, so Lisa, let's dig into this. So, first of all, I share with me what got you into this, or share with all of us what got you into this. I mean, what
well,
was it about speaking that all of a sudden became your life?
I think it was always there. It just came in different capacities. I remember no matter what job I would have, I'd always be like, I could create a training out of this. Why don't I train everybody? They're like, okay. So certainly was always naturally there. And I have a bachelor's and master's degree in speech communication. So even when I was 18, I knew, oh, I really dig this. It was more about the interpersonal communication. And I even taught that at Cal State Fullerton when I was in grad school. I taught for 2 years there. But it wasn't until I was 40 that I became a speaker. And so there was a big gap in there. Again,
Mhm.
me trying to train in every single capacity as possible. And it just fills my soul. I really love the teaching aspect. I often call myself a teacher disguised as a speaker.
Yeah.
So it's not about being flashy or the center of attention. Not for me. It's really about, can I give some knowledge that's really going to help somebody and make it easier? And I believe that it can be easier, but I know that not everyone believes it can be easy because we have different stuff going on in our minds.
Right.
So to me, that is like the thing that rings my bell. Like, oh, somebody comes up to me after and says, wow, I've secretly been having this dream to do this or to say or to speak, and I didn't know I could do it. Like, how do I do it? Like, tell me more. And that That's what's very exciting for me.
I love it, Lisa. And I love it when you can see the through line, right? You can see the thread when you really step into what brings you most alive, that you can see a thread from a very early age that comes all the way through. And I also love, and I can definitely appreciate this, right? Because I came out as a teacher and speaker, right?
Yeah.
Like you, it was just always part of my makeup. And that fundamentally it really is about delivering the message. It's not about entertaining, it's not about, being the center of attention. It truly is about teaching people something that will help them live a better life. So yeah, love it, Lisa. And so you talk about if somebody wants to become a speaker or use public speaking as a marketing strategy to grow their business, so we've all heard, right, that public speaking is one of the biggest fears that people have, right? That people would rather be in the coffin than be giving the eulogy.
Not the people I hang out with, but yes, you're right. There's some people who do that.
Yeah, well, and obviously that you're in a community where people are wanting to be speakers. So when somebody has a business and they hear this thing around, okay, use speaking as a way to build my business, but it's not something that comes naturally for them, right? Number one, how does it help build their business? And what do you do to support them in really owning that inner speaker, that inner message that is in all of us?
Well, I think in a way that it helps your business is if you're speaking from one to one, like in terms of attracting your clients and you're just working with one person, one person, one person, one person, having these one-on-one conversations. And then you shift to, wow, I could speak to a whole room of people, give them some really great knowledge, valuable information that might prompt them to want to have a call with me. And then now you're the magnet instead of trying to go fish, right?
Yeah.
You're the magnet, and the people who are resonating with your message come to you, which I love as an entrepreneur. I work with a lot of heart-centered people just like you and purpose-driven people. I can tell you the one thing they don't love doing is like cold calling, outreach, cold emailing, searching for clients, using Facebook Messenger to hunt somebody down. Like that's not it doesn't feel good to a lot of people like us. And so this way, it's just to me, like an easier inflow way to help the people that you can serve.
Love it. Love it.
I know you
And
had 2
you
questions.
really
I
can
can't
do it.
remember the second one.
Well, if it's speaking is not natural for you,
Oh, yeah.
what do you do to help somebody claim their inner speaker?
Well, so usually people self-select when they come to me. So they may
Okay.
not have done it before, but there's something. And these are the confessions that they'll share with me, like, "I've always kinda wanted to do this, but I wasn't sure, or I didn't know if I could, or I don't know, like, how to get started," but there's this deep desire, and even if you're an introvert, even if you're shy or quiet or whatever, it still works, it's still okay, and I think there's a couple things. One, we need to have the correct conversation with ourselves of, like, healing whatever that hiccup was, probably developed somewhere in childhood or the past. But also, when we get really clear about what we can offer, what we can teach others, and I think that
Mhm.
shift is really important. Like when I say to a room full of entrepreneurs, I'm like, you're all sitting on probably decades of knowledge. You've got certifications, you've got degrees, or, hours on the job that you've been doing, hours helping people. Imagine if you could just take a couple nuggets of that and teach other people what you know. Then it's not as scary. You're like, "Oh, well, I
Yeah.
could teach this. I talk about this all the time." Then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, I wish everyone knew this problem," or "I wish everyone knew these top 3 solutions," or whatever it is that you have to share. It just feels not so scary anymore. It's like, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm the expert at that. No problem."
Well, what I love about that, right, when we're talking about basing things in spiritual principle, is that when you realize that you have wisdom, you have experience, you have knowledge to share, and you understand that there's something bigger seeking to express through you in the form of that delivery, you become willing to be uncomfortable for the sake of service rather
Yes.
than, trying to manage the uncomfortableness by not really getting out there, right? When you
Yeah.
truly become committed to the impact that you're here to make, you're willing to do those things to go beyond what you've done up to this point
Yeah,
in
that
service
message
to a
becomes
mission.
yeah, message becomes greater than the fear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. And then also I find that, like, one of the things that I'll do with people is session it's called Get Your Talk Ready to Rock, and, like, it's like we're giving birth to this talk. We're giving birth to your brilliance, and all of a sudden, when that happens, it you can't wait to tell everybody. You're
Yeah.
dying to get on that stage. You're like, "Oh my gosh, everyone needs to know this. This is so helpful, valuable, exciting." It's like showing off your new baby, and so and even men can have babies in my world, right? Anybody can have a baby no matter how old you are. You can have a baby and
Love it,
share
love
it
it,
with
love it.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, so where then how do people get started? I mean, where would they start looking for speaking gigs?
Yeah, I think well, I always say it's great to the first step to me is getting your talk created because it's really hard to be a speaker if you don't know what you're talking about. You're just sort of have this like little residual resistance going on. Well, I'm not ready. I hope they don't ask me. So we want to clear all that and get your ducks in a row, whatever ducks those need to be for that person to get to feel confident looking for speaking engagements. And then I like to, if I'm just I'm speaking generally to an audience here. So obviously it'd be more specific if it was someone specifically in front of me. But a good way to think about it is getting clear on your speaking avatar. Like, are we talking in person? Are you going to travel? Do you not want to travel? Do you want to speak virtually? Who are you speaking to? So we want to start to formulate so that with as much clarity as possible what's your yeses, what's your nos. Because you've been speaking a long time, you're going to get yanked, you're going to get seduced, you're going to get distracted, you're going to get FOMO of like, I should be there, I should do this, they are offering me this, I should go here, I should go there. And then we can lose sight of what's our true, desire and in alignment in our business. So that I would say is like get a talk created and then figure out what kind of groups, what kind of speaking would really fill your business, fill your soul, be fun.
Yeah, that I'll never forget. I spoke very small group. This is when I was living in California, and I was not clear with my boundaries. It was my birthday, and I flew to Phoenix and drove 2.5, almost 3 hours up to the White Mountains for a group of four. And I'm
Oh,
driving back, yes, crying, thinking, okay, this can no longer happen.
right.
And so sometimes you kind of have to do things to realize, oh, that's definitely not it. And then start becoming the person for doing the things that you do love. So then you become the attractive force for that. So it's been a long time since I've done something like that. But to your
Well,
point, you get super clear, right? And that didn't take a rocket scientist. I don't know what I was thinking then.
no, no, you're very common issue, and I think it's important to share since we're talking about it right now. Like, I will share what I share with my clients about that and how you make those decisions because you know we don't always have clarity on what's our yes and what's our no. And it's so important because you're going to get inundated with offers, with things that seem to be the best thing in the world. And there has to be this clarity, I think. Otherwise you'll end up driving up a mountain and crying on your birthday. It's not fun, right? So
Yeah.
I say we run it through the resentment filter because we like to be enlightened
Oh,
all the
that's
time,
right.
but we are human. And so when I have an opportunity that to me is maybe a gray area where I'm like, this isn't 100% yes. I'm feeling compelled to say yes. Let me pause, take a minute and then really run it through my resentment filter. And what that means for me is if I do this and nothing comes of it, like it's just, yeah, like 2 people and a cat show up or whatever happens, I get 0 business from it. How resentful am I going to be? And if it's like, well, I kind of want to go up to that area anyway, I don't care. It's like it gives me an excuse to get out of the house. It gives me, or I can get video, or I can get testimonials, or whatever. I get to visit a relative, whatever it is that makes it a
Yeah.
great opportunity for you, regardless of the results. Then that helps me say yes. If I'm like, oh man, I would be really upset because I gave, here I am on my birthday giving it up, So whatever that is, then you can, and that's different for all of us at different
Yeah.
times, at different, parts of our business, depends on what else is going on. It depends on lots of things. But when you have that resentment, then you start to doubt yourself like, well, maybe I should give up and I shouldn't, this thing doesn't work. And all the doubts, it just gives fuel to all the fears and the doubts. So I think it's just super clear to be,
Yeah. Well,
very powerful to be clear on that.
the way that I language it and invite my clients is to, lean in and does this give me life? I love the resentment. Am I going to resent this?
Yeah, that's the dark and the light, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then leaning in and oh my gosh, do I come alive in the presence of that? And just how insidious the voice of, yeah, but I should do this can be, right? And so the
Yes.
mastery of being able to lean in, and, I was back in my learning curve with this, to lean in and say, oh my God, do I love this? Do I come alive at the thought of, the whole process of this? Or is there a twinge? And then be able to trust, right? Here's the spiritual principle that you're being guided to be able to trust that if you say no to something, you're not missing out. You're actually
Yeah.
creating the space for something bigger. So, all right. So what would you say is the number one secret to getting booked and staying booked as a speaker?
Oh, okay. So this is my favorite thing. It's something I call finding your speaker soulmate. And what
Mm,
that means in, business language would be like a referral partner. But what this is a deep connection with maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 people that you are focused on speaking referrals. And I think of it as more introductions. But again, we know so many people. We thousands
yeah,
of friends on Facebook, right? Or Instagram or whatever it is. But this is really your core VIP, like your best friends, right? You think of it that way. And so how do you know who a speaker soulmate is? Well, you got to start looking for them. One is someone who speaks at a similar frequency as you,
mhm,
because you kind of want to be evenish. 2, someone you know, like, and trust. That doesn't mean you need to know them for a really long time. It just might be someone you see in a Zoom room and you're like, I like that. I'm digging their vibe. Or someone told me the other day, oh, your vibe smells so good. I was like, okay, so cool. Like maybe their vibe just was so good. You're like, oh, I want to be around that person. And then you develop a trust, and does this relationship work? Are they reliable? Do they share your core values? Things like that. And then the number 3 thing to consider is, do they speak to similar audiences as you, but offer a different type of service? Because that will make the referral process easier. If you both speak around the same thing, then when you go to introduce, they'll say, well, we just had someone speak on that. Not to say it's not going to work at all, but it won't be as lightning quick, right?
yeah.
So
Keep talking.
yeah, so take care of the doggy. So I'll keep talking. So what you really want to do is have it so that ideally right after you speak, they're inviting your speaker soulmate in to speak the next time, the next month, next whatever
Yeah.
summit event, whatever it is. And that has kept me booked without cold calling for 10 years.
Wow.
And yeah, so in our international speaker network, we have an activity called Find Your Speaker Soulmate. We have activities called Speaker Referral Circles, because it's about finding those people, because that's a game changer for you. Again, you had said at the beginning, like, this is a long game. It's not like I'm going to speak one time and that's it. No, this is something you can do. It's kind of like golf. Speaking of golf, we were talking about golf earlier. You can do this for the rest of your career and get clients And that,
Yeah. Yeah.
no matter how old you are, as long as you can still talk and, you could do it.
Yeah, that's great. I've heard other people talk of that. I've done it off and on. I've not been consistent with it. And it's a beautiful idea. So I appreciate you bringing it back around. All right. So then, last question with this. In your experience, what is one of the biggest obstacles aspiring speakers face and how can they overcome it?
I think it's the thing happening in between our ears, what I call speaker's
Always,
kryptonite.
right?
Yeah. Speaker's kryptonite, which will sound like, oh, I'm still working on my talk. I've got to do more research. I'm not sure who I would speak to. I don't know if anyone would buy my whatever. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Like all these and these aren't necessarily said out loud. Sometimes I do hear the confessions, but working with enough speakers and entrepreneurs, I know it's right there.
Yeah.
And so those can literally be I call it the silent dream killer. It can literally just keep you from doing it ever. And when I work with someone on their talk, we finish it in 2 hours. It's done. Like you can check that right off the list. You don't have to sit there and work on your talk
Oh,
forever. You just have to put a stake in the ground and do it. And then it'll evolve and change as you go, but you can't it's like learning how to drive a stick shift. You gotta get in the car.
yeah.
Eventually, you gotta get in the car and be willing to stall a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't
That's
just
great.
wish that you knew how to drive a stick shift and never do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is putting action to the desire, like putting, the mentor I've worked with for 14 years, said inspiration without action is merely entertainment. And,
Yes.
we're not into entertaining people. I mean, not like we can entertain, but to really move people, which means we have to move. So, all right. So, last question, Lisa. The topic of this is spiritual principle, right? Applying spiritual principle into our businesses, our work, our lives. What do you see? How do you, where do you apply spiritual principle, or what does that look like for you to apply spiritual principle in your work?
It's so embedded in a lot of the different things I do, but I'll give an example, 'cause this is probably not talked about very often. And it's about follow-up, right? And I'm a really good follow-upper. Let's just say lots of sales experience in my decades, starting when I was in college selling Mary Kay cosmetics. And so what I do is I actually use my intuition when I'm following up with people.
Mm,
And if a person's doing a regular follow-up process or has a CRM or is tracking, leads and speaking engagements, prospects, whatever, you might find that sometimes you're continually pushing that action back. You're continually pushing like, "Oh, I'm gonna delay reaching out. I'm gonna delay reaching out." So when I find that that's happening, I take a moment. I go like, "Oh, okay. When am I supposed to reach out with this person? Why do
mm,
I not wanna do it now? What's going on that I keep pushing it back? Do I have some kind of resistance?" And then that will intuitively inform me of what do I delay it again? Do I take action right now? Or do I completely close the option out? And
mm,
oftentimes, when I release it, meaning I close it out, I'm letting it go, I swear, Felicia, they will call me within 24 hours or they will reach out to me in 24 hours. It is the weirdest thing. I sometimes I do it just to test it. I'm like, let me just see how it's going to
yeah,
go. But I completely released it to whatever, my attachment to it. And so that's just one little way that I'll use my intuitiveness in business. I don't think it's talked about that often.
yeah, yeah. I love that. Asking to be guided, who to contact, when, how, and if it's complete, to let go of the attachment, and then allow it to work
Yeah.
out in a way where, I call that making it welcome instead of making it happen.
Oh, I
Mm,
love that. I love that. I'm gonna steal that. Okay, cool. I
really,
love
like
that.
well, so you have something really, wonderful, to give, really powerful, a gift. And so, what is it that you're offering our listeners?
Yeah, if you're out there going, I think I should be speaking. I have a message to share. This has got to be on my to-do list. Then you'll want to get 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs. And that is available at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips, TIPS. Because of course you're going to want more than one gig and you're going to want more than one tip. So it's at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips.
And we'll make sure that we put that in the comment section so you can
Yeah.
grab it. So, all right, Leisa, thank you so much. So, for those of you who tune in consistently and follow me, you know we've got an event coming up October 10, 11, 12 here in Tucson, Your Ultimate Life Now, where we're really going to dig deep into these spiritual principles. There's something so profound about stepping away from all this life coming at you in order to really dedicate 3 days to listening deeply to what life wants for you. What would you love next? And then learning how to really unlock the power within you to be able to have that life and serve that life. So if you want more information, put event in the comment section and we'll make sure that we get that to you. It would be our joy to have you join us here in Tucson. And so, Leisa, thank you so much. You are just truly, you're just one of those stellar people that I'm so grateful to have in my world. And this was gold. So make
Aw.
sure that you track the gold nuggets that you heard. Please take advantage of Lisa's gift. This is her brilliance. And, it's a beautiful gift that she's given you. So please take advantage of that. And thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you soon when I bring my next guest for our Spiritual Success podcast. And then just when I go live on a weekly basis as well to support you in creating a life that you love, knowing this is your highest service to our world and the body of humanity. God bless everybody.